Hello, smart garden community. Welcome back to the channel where we transform ordinary gardens into thriving ecosystems. Today we're tackling a challenge many of you face. Your garden worms just aren't performing at their peak. You've added compost, tossed in some kitchen scraps, maybe even crushed up those eggshells, but your soil still lacks that rich, crumbly texture that signals a truly healthy worm population. Here's the truth. Typical compost barely scratches the surface of what these incredible soil engineers need to flourish. We're going beyond the basics with 5 unexpected, science-backed soil boosters that will transform your garden into a genuine worm paradise, delivering the kind of soil aeration and nutrient cycling that makes vegetables practically grow themselves. Let's get your soil working harder for you. Crushed volcanic rock dust. Eine Dulcer and Taberbutbar. The mineral powerhouse. First on our list is something you probably haven't considered adding to your garden beds. Crushed volcanic rock dust. This natural mineral product is packed with essential trace elements and silicates that create a fundamentally better environment for earthworm activity. Now, before you wonder how rocks could possibly help worms, understand that this isn't about feeding them directly. The magic happens through the fine, gritty texture of the dust, which worms actually ingest to aid their digestion process. Just like birds need grit to break down seeds in their gizzards, worms use these tiny mineral particles to grind down organic matter in their digestive system, making nutrient extraction far more efficient. But there's another crucial benefit that makes volcanic rock dust truly exceptional. It dramatically boosts microbial life in your soil, and microbes are the earthworm's primary food source. By creating this nutrient-dense habitat teeming with beneficial bacteria and fungi, you're essentially setting up an all-you-can-eat buffet that keeps worms active, healthy, and reproducing. Application couldn't be simpler. For in-ground gardens, sprinkle about half a kilogram per square meter over the soil surface and gently rake it in, or simply let weather and worm activity incorporate it naturally over time. If you're working with wormeries or compost bins, just add a small handful per square foot to the surface monthly. No preparation required, just straight from the bag to your beds. Spent coffee grounds, morning brew for your soil. Your morning coffee routine can become a daily contribution to worm health. Those spent coffee grounds you typically toss are actually a nitrogen-rich treasure that worms find irresistible. The smell and texture attract them immediately, and they'll consume the grounds eagerly while benefiting from the grit they provide for digestion. The nitrogen content is where things get really interesting. It fuels explosive microbial activity, which again translates to abundant food for your worm population. The key here is using grounds after brewing, as fresh coffee can be too acidic for optimal worm health. Dampen them slightly before application to prevent clumping, which can create problems in your soil. For in-ground applications, spread a thin layer, no more than half an inch, onto the soil surface and mix it with existing mulch or topsoil. This prevents the formation of a water-repellent barrier that can develop if coffee grounds form a thick, compacted layer. In compost systems, treat coffee grounds as a green material and balance them with 4 parts brown materials like shredded newspaper, cardboard, or dry leaves. This ratio prevents unpleasant odors and excessive heat buildup that can actually drive worms away from your compost pile. Crushed nutshells like those from peanuts or pecans offer something pretty unique for your soil long-lasting structural support that keeps working for months. Unlike softer organic materials, these shells decompose much more slowly than your typical compost ingredients, and honestly, that's exactly what makes them so valuable. Their rigid structure creates permanent macropores in the soil. Think of these as highways and homes for your worm populations. These channels really improve soil structure and aeration, giving worms plenty of space to move freely and thrive. Before you add nutshells to your garden, make sure to crush them into smaller pieces, either with a mulcher or just by hand. Increasing the surface area helps speed up microbial action and makes the shells much easier for worms to navigate and eventually break down. You can mix the crushed shells into the top layers of your garden soil or add them to compost piles, along with other organic waste. They're especially helpful in heavy clay soils where drainage is a constant issue, since the shells help hold open spaces that would otherwise get compacted and suffocate your worm populations. If you're hoping to see a rapid explosion in worm activity, alfalfa pellets or meal are your secret weapon. This protein-rich green manure gives an immediate and significant boost to both microbes and worms. Worms absolutely love alfalfa, and the high nitrogen content really speeds up decomposition and nutrient cycling throughout your soil ecosystem. The result, you'll notice a fast increase in worm populations and much richer castings. That black gold all gardeners treasure. Using alfalfa pellets is super simple. Just purchase the pellets or meal, sprinkle a light layer over your garden beds, and water thoroughly to help them break down and release nutrients into the soil. For compost systems or worm bins, toss in a few handfuls while keeping the moisture up so the pellets soften and are easier for worms to eat. Within just a few days, you'll see more worm activity as both the worms and the microbes they rely on respond enthusiastically to this nutritional boost. Our final booster is biochar, which is a stable, carbon-rich material made through biomass pyrolysis. Now, biochar isn't really a food source, but it acts as an environment enhancer that fundamentally improves worm habitat quality. Its highly porous structure gives you tons of micro-habitats and attachment sites for beneficial bacteria and fungi, which, by the way, are the main food source for earthworms. Plus, biochar helps with water retention and nutrient binding in the soil, creating a more stable and favorable environment where worms can stay active, even during drier times. It's important to prep your biochar before use. Charge it by soaking it in a nutrient solution like compost tea or liquid fertilizer for 1 to 2 days. This keeps the biochar from initially absorbing nutrients from your soil, which could otherwise starve your worms temporarily. Once it's charged, mix a small amount into your soil. About 5% by volume is usually just right. Be careful not to go above 5 to 10%, since too much biochar can actually have negative effects on some worm species. You can add it to compost piles or work it into garden beds wherever you want to support long-term worm populations. These 5 soil boosters work together to create just the right conditions for earthworm prosperity. By adding even 2 or 3 of these amendments, you'll see a real transformation in your soil structure, fertility, and overall garden productivity. Remember, healthy worms mean healthy soil, and healthy soil means abundant harvests and thriving plants. If you found this guide helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share this video with other gardeners who might benefit from these science-backed strategies. Let's build stronger garden communities together, one thriving worm population at a time. Happy gardening!